Life can be so challenging. Where can you go to get divine clarification, help, and advice? Well, may I introduce Natasha Venter, medium coach and direct connection to your guides and angels. Through her podcast, Life Clarifications, Natasha will help you navigate through and create your life's destiny. My name is Kevin McDonald, co-host of this podcast, and I've seen her work and know that through her incredible talent, you can be changed forever.
And I am so sorry, guys, and for being human here. I am going to change this right now so that I can be the better me. So I apologize. I forgot to mute. There we go. Now we are back to where we can be human again without the repercussions of muting, not muting, and I apologize.
That's all right. I did that. I've done that lots and lots of times. It happens. This is the technology that we are on the cutting edge of modern technology. And what I mean by that is that, by the way, you're listening to Natasha Venter, and this is Life Clarifications. This is her show, and she's sitting right over there, and she's here for you. Now, this particular live broadcast is done on YouTube, and you can call in. It's a live interactive show, and you can call in by calling 206-408-1395. We'll repeat that throughout the course of the show. So in case you're not listening yet, and you will be soon, we'll get that to you so that you can talk to Natasha all by yourself. And, so just, and that call is good anywhere in the United States or Canada. So just give us a call at 206-408-1395. Natasha, how is your Wednesday?
It is going good. I'm just trying to figure out how to make my screen be the full screen because live on Zoom is covering it up. So I'm just going to navigate this the best way I can. So it's just going to be what it's going to be. And that's what what we work on is trying to do our better. So, life is going to be life, and it's just wisdom here.
Well, I really do like that about you, because there is it's real easy to get all excited and when things don't go exactly according to plan. But from my perspective, everything is perfect, and it is the way it is, and it shows that we are human, and we make mistakes just like everybody else.
Exactly. And especially right now, I'm finding that there's so many people that are having a hard time. Like, I was in the grocery store, and actually it was the day after elections kind of got, I don't want to say said, but you could see the flow was going a certain way. And I'm not going to talk about who, what, where, when, but I'm going to talk about the people. But it was interesting going around. I had like about 3 different people that felt like they were in everybody else's way. I was like going, isn't that interesting? They felt like they were in somebody else's way. Well, then that other person was in their way. And I was kind of like going, seeing both sides of that perspective was kind of interesting but what I heard was that they were being kind. They were thinking about somebody else. I'm not saying it was because of the election. I was just noticing that the flow of the day was about kind of not necessarily thinking about the other, but thinking about the other. And that's kind of where we need to go in the universe, is kind of that, yes, I need to stand up for myself and know that, if I'm here, that I need to be in the balance of working with others. And so it's getting into the flow, and if we're going against the stream, sometimes we need to turn around, like in the cart. Sometimes if we're flowing against the stream, going up and down the grocery aisles, well, maybe we need to turn around and go with the flow. And so we're not feeling like we're in so many other people's way. At the same time, though, we have to find that fine line between being kind and saying, oh, excuse me, and then going where we want to go with kindness. And just, like if we need to go around someone, it's like, oh, wait a minute, now it's my turn, and we're having to do that fine line right now. That's such an amazing way to work. And, we got to just find the balance of it. It's just, we just never know what we can do, where we can go, what's this and what's that. Just kind of like for me, I just found out that my screen was over, where I couldn't get it. And so I just need to grab onto it to move it over. Isn't that what I was just talking about?
Exactly.
So sometimes we just got to say, wait a minute, Now, was I going to get complicated in my screen not working right? Was I going to get complicated in, was I supposed to go right or left, or, what was I supposed to do? I kind of waited a minute, took my distraction off of it, just kind of said, look at the camera instead of what I was looking at on my screen. So I didn't get into that politics. And then I kind of heard in myself, which I know I'm intuitive, yet at the same time, I'm human and we still got to work through things. And I just kind of had that feeling, well, grab onto it and pull it over. Oh, wait a minute. Isn't that what I was talking about? Going down the aisle. Sometimes we have to just see a different perspective. And I love how right now the universe, if we really pay attention, that's exactly what it will show us, is how to navigate, how to do things, how to have that different perspective, that different knowing in ourselves, that situation that's happening. We're just in that alignment with what's going on. And I love how right now the universe, if we really pay attention. Oh, see, and then all of a sudden you pop in.
Where was I?
I don't know where that ended up happening. We're just kind of along for the ride.
Can you see you can see me now?
I can totally see you.
Okay,
and
good.
I've been seeing you. I just had you on a small screen instead of the big screen, kind of like when you have to do things differently. So it's just one of those things that we're just going to have to go forward and be where we're at, and we just never know what's going to happen. So it's just a thing.
Now, because you are the psychic one who's the medium that talks to the other side, I'd like you to put this hat on for a moment, because I got a theory that I'd like to discuss with you. It is
okay.
It is Veterans Day today, and by the way, thank you for your service. If you served our country, we really appreciate you protecting our freedoms. And if you passed away, you can talk to Natasha, and she can talk to you about your sacrifice. But I wanted to ask you, because I found out today. First of all, let me back up, because 1111 or 111111 or it has been. I get that number all the time. And I've determined that in my own mind that what that is the universe saying, remember, we're here. Mm-hmm. This is us. Now, I found out today that World War I, the armistice happened in November of 1918.
So armistice is the signing of the peace treaty.
That's correct.
Yes.
And that happened in 1918. We entered the war in 1917, and then we helped make it end quicker in 1918. But what they did, and they did this on purpose, was today was the 11th month, mm-hmm. the 11th day, and it was signed in the 11th hour, which is 111111. Now, what I'm asking you is, was that a sign from the other side that we are watching, we are part of you, and because World War I ended, and up till that point, it was the bloodiest war of all time?
Yes, because it was such a physical, and it was bloody because it was hand to hand. You could see the eyes of your other. You can see their soul sometimes in that middle of the fear of I'm going to die. And so it wasn't necessarily, it wasn't bloody just in blood. It was bloody in mind. It was bloody in just having to deal with that in your own minds. And so with that, we're all in this place where we have to deal with this ick and everything. And that's what, when we see those numbers, 11, 11, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, whatever those numbers are. Well, 1 is about new beginnings, and 11 is about that connection. So like for me, I see 9, 11 a lot. Well, 9 is about endings and 11 is about magical connections. So I'm having endings with magical connections to follow. I'm like going, that's cool, you know? And so, and how we got 11, 11, 11 on out of 18, 19, right?
1918.
1918. So if we add 19, because you never want a double number. So 19 is 9 plus 1, which makes 10, right?
Right.
And then we have 18, which makes 9.
Right.
And 1, so then that equals the 10, because 1 plus 1 makes 10, right? So then that's a 10. So we have 1. So we have 11, 11, and it was signed on 11, 11 in the time. And then we had the 1. So new beginnings.
And what I got from that, and I just got that as I was talking to you, which by the way often happens because your psychic bleed over is what I call it. I just made that up, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Psychic bleed over is the energy that emits from you. And what I got from that was the universe's way of telling us, all right, kids, we just had the bloodiest war of all time. You now have the ability to start anew. And if you take the right course of action, that you will never see this kind of bloodshed, this kind of war again, if you take it seriously. And unfortunately, now, first of all, let me ask you, was that the intent from the other side?
Well, I wouldn't say, because this is the balance. Sorry, I was making a comment on YouTube that to make, if somebody wants to make a comment or anything, please do, or call in, that when the universe is always here to help us, no matter what our belief system is. We all have angels, we all have guides, we all have a structure around us of past lives, future lives, whatever we're going to be. We always have that, no matter what our belief system is. I've witnessed this from atheists to different religions, that we all have the same helpers because they're not religious based. Religion has been made here on earth. And so religion has helped many people be spiritual. So the helpers of us are spiritual beings helping us have spiritual life. There's no religion based on it besides love. So whatever religion that you believe in, if it has love, and even if you are in a religion that doesn't have love, you still have these helpers that are trying to help you do better. And it's our mental brains and what we believe in that either alter that or shift that. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes, and I'm going to walk delicately here because, you know, you can go into the conspiracy theory, you can go into many different belief systems here about who's really making decisions. I don't want to go there. That we all have this, sometimes things happen where conflict is going to interrupt or engage because we're human. We have different perspectives. We have different understandings. We have different belief systems. So conflict is always going to arise. It's always going to arise. It's always going to be there. What the angels and guides help us to see is a different perspective. Yes, it's okay to have conflict. That's how we stir things up to make the greater good. Sometimes you have to stir the pot in the stew to get the seasonings together. But sometimes the stew is happy just sitting there and it doesn't want to get stirred, you know? And so with that, and that's where it kind of goes bubble, 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 bubble when it gets stirred more than when it's just sitting there. But we got to remember though that we're human, and one reason why we're here is to learn how to have a more peaceful perspective. And peaceful means in our minds. And so when we have conflict, if we can just take the opportunity to say, what is that other person's perspective? What are they trying to show me? Can I step a toe into that perspective to get a little bit of learning? It doesn't mean that I have to believe what they believe. It doesn't mean that I have to understand that. But yet at the same time, it's like, oh, okay, I see that different perspective. So then I can kind of go, okay, I can get empathy here. I can get sympathy here. I can get a greater picture knowing, okay, I'll give you that. And if we can get to there, we won't have the bloodiness. But many of us can't stop there. They have to go on to prove that they're right. Well, the angels and our guides and the greater power of love doesn't want us to have that conflict, to where it's blood and everything. Sometimes that's our kind of like World War II kind of happened because we were in a depression. And so, that's where the certain leaders came in. That's where, there's decisions being made that if we make a job for someone, people are going to get fed, and yes, that's an old belief system, but yet it's still a belief system that's still going on, that conflict usually does cause a problem, so that the problem needs to get fixed, which means then the fixing makes jobs or makes scenarios happen. And so we go forward. But when you have something like 11-11, 11-1, how many 11s did I put in there?
Well, there are at least 6. There could be more.
But today is 11-11, and then we got 20 and 20, which makes 22 when you drop the zeros. So 22 is a greater number than 11-11. So right now, today, we're walking in the day of 11-11. And then, so, November 11th, the 11th day, and the 22nd year, if you add up 20 plus 20, which makes 22.
Okay.
Actually, it makes 4, doesn't it?
It does make 4 eventually. When you get it down that.
When you get it down, but if you drop the 2 zeros, and so you can have that magic if you so believe.
But now let me go down this road just a little bit, because what you just said is actually what in fact happened. Because after World War I, they signed the armistice. Now, in the armistice was a peace treaty, and the peace treaty basically stripped Germany, being the losing side, of all their rights, all their dignity. They couldn't have a military anymore, and threw Germany into a major depression. They also developed something called the League of Nations, which eventually became the United Nations. But the League of Nations, which Woodrow Wilson started, failed miserably because he couldn't get everybody to agree on anything. So you go forward from 18 to the early mid 30s in Germany. They were a very unhappy people because they had been basically stepped on and so forth, which is
stripped of their almost stripped of their humanness.
Yes. And which brought forth Adolf Hitler.
Yes.
And which led directly to World War II, because when they had a clear choice at the end of World War I. Do we let it go and then work together for the betterment of humanity, or are we going to hold these people accountable and be the victor, and you're the loser, so you don't get anything?
Yeah.
And that's led directly to, and that's what the universe was trying to tell. I get it now. The universe was trying to tell us, be kind to everyone. The war's over.
It doesn't matter who wins or loses. It's about, and sometimes it does matter who wins or loses, but it's losing with kindness.
Right. Well,
it's losing with kindness. And I when I was in school, I did a lot of history. For some reason, I did a lot of reports. There we go. Get the right language here. That I did a lot of reports on the Hiroshima bomb.
Mm.
And the
Another-
Nagasaki bomb. And I'm sorry for the language there. Not saying those names right.
No, you said it right. Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Nagasaki, that the one thing, though, that I have an understanding when we signed that peace treaty, that our government didn't strip them as bad.
No, we rebuilt them.
We helped rebuild them. And so if we learned anything through what World War II taught us, because the writing was on the wall.
Yeah.
You know, we the writing was on the wall. US was not nice. But if we really look at what the US means, it's us. Which means us as a country and us as a world. We are us. How can we be kinder with us? It's hard enough to be kind with the people that are living in our same house.
That's why
And we're going back into where the universe, in my perception, and I'm not going conspiracy theory here, I'm not going government here, but I always kind of work with what's right in front of me. Well, governments are shutting down again. You know, cities are kind of having to shut down again because, we're not thinking of the us.
Right.
As a whole government. And like it was perspective given to me today about how, like, even the swine flu took 2 years to get through it.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't have anything to do with who's in office. It had everything to do with the person who we were living with, or the one we were looking in the mirror with, or the one that we had to be partners in walking in an office with. That it's about treating us kindly. Like I was picking up a table today and she said, "Are you a mask person?" I said, I'm going to wear a mask just because I want to care about you.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I want to care about me, but I was caring about my other. And judgment or no judgment, it's not for me to say wear a mask or not. I know, I personally can't care about that because otherwise I'm getting into politics and I'm going to choose to wear a mask just because I care about you, the other.
Well, see, and that's one of the negative things that has happened is that wearing a mask has become politicized. It is not. It is a healthcare thing. It is we talked about this on the show I did yesterday. No, on Monday. And time goes so fast.
I know. I'm flipped around too. And time is changing, by the way, guys. I'm going to say this right now. Time is changing. So if you're feeling off, or if things are just it's hard to look at the clock and be on time or something, we're going through a major upgrade, downloads, universal energetic something shift to where our time is changing. So you're not feeling weird. It's called reality.
When you're saying time is changing, how is it changing? Is it going faster? Is it going slow? What is happening with our time? By the way, while she's thinking about that answer, if you want to give us a call at 206-408-1395, you can and talk to Natasha about anything you'd like. It's kind of a wide open forum today. So again, 206-408-1395. And if you're listening to this show other than 4:00 Pacific time on Wednesdays, those phone numbers are not active. But that means that what you need to do is to get on here at 4:00 Pacific on Wednesdays, and you can call in because it's a live show and call in and talk to Natasha. I'm sorry. So what is happening with our time? You tell me.
Well, it's called getting to a more universal time. We didn't always have this clock time. The Mayans didn't have a clock time. They had a I want to call it a calendar time, a sun time. They had a moon time. They had a star time. They had, I feel like it's time to get going because it's so long after sunrise. So I know that I have this timing that things happen so long after sunrise for me to go to where I need to go and do what I need to do. And so we're starting to get into that flow of universal timing. It's kind of like me picking up my table today, that I had that feeling, oh, time for me to walk out the door. Well, I got there early and I was just ready to messenger, and she says, oh, I'm on the other side of the truck. So she was there early. So with us going that universal time, we were actually able to hook up easier than if we like, oh, I have to leave at 9, be there by 1:30, blah, 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 you know what I mean? It's like we get caught up in the politics instead of saying, oh, this feels right. But then we have to honor, like doctor's offices and things like that have to run on a schedule, that we have to do things in a universal way.
You just fell over.
Yeah.
Take your time. Go ahead and put it back up, and we'll get it.
There we go. I'm having one of those days where, like I've been talking to my kid yesterday. It's like, feel like I'm on a hamster wheel.
Sure.
But when a hamster starts spinning, usually they go fling and they go flying off, or they go somewhere else. You know how hamsters, it gets going so fast. I'm just telling myself, I want to be in a good rhythm on the hamster wheel. Because I can go on a hamster wheel, but yet I don't want to go fling. And that's what's been happening if we don't stay attuned to the energies of what's happening.
Exactly. Well, the interesting thing is that you're much busier than I, because you've got so many things and you've got a household to run and all of that. So you do have to schedule yourself. And I hope that you schedule, and this is for everybody, I hope you schedule enough me time, enough downtime where you can just relax and be who you are. Yes.
And I really do, because it's part of that grace that if I'm not healthy, then I can't do what I'm called to do. If I'm not mental healthy, then I'm not going to find that I can do better here. And I know for me, being the dyslexic that I am, that a lot of times I start getting into that feeling of I don't want to call it fuzziness, but chaoticness in my own brain. And that's where I have to say to myself, nope, I'm free. I'm good. I'm just going to stand here and just breathe for a minute.
Mm-hmm. And breathing can be a very, very good exercise for you.
Oh, I do. Whenever I'm like, I breathe before I get out of the car to go to work. I breathe when I am taking off my coat. I breathe when I'm getting in my car after a certain situation. I kind of do something to breathe, just in any moment that I can. Like when I'm in school, sometimes I have to leave one energy of a classroom and walk into another energy of a classroom. Well, a lot of times I walk out of that classroom and I just kind of stand there for, even if it's just 20 seconds. And then I move on.
So you notice that, because I know you work in an elementary school, mm-hmm. and you notice the difference in energy from one classroom to another.
There's no doubt.
Now, is that caused by the teacher in the room? Is it caused by the mix of kids? What is the difference in those energies?
It's all in the basket. And it's sometimes there's classrooms that all the personalities are in the basket and they're all sitting there nicely and we're good. And then there's sometimes where you might as well just take the basket and go spin, 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 because that's what's in the classroom. It's just the difference. You got a difference between a third grade classroom and a kindergarten classroom. It's just different energy. And then you get the different personalities, in there. And we all know that. When we're living in a house full of children and adults, that not everybody flows the best at the same time. And we're just going to have to just sometimes take a moment and breathe. And I know a lot of moms, they try to go into the bathroom by themselves and they can't even do that, because if they don't have the kids, they have the pets. It's just one of those things that things just happen. And But at the same time, though, that a lot of times those happen so that we can learn boundaries. There's sometimes where my dog runs in and I'm like going, nope. And I shut the door and I brush her out and I shut the door and I have my moment. Like, and for one, my animals are not allowed in my bedroom, because that's
Really?
my time. Some people need that time. I know my girlfriend who has sleep apnea, she sleeps with her dog because the dog saves her life. So there's nothing wrong or right. But at the same time, though, if you can't have it one place, you got to find it another place to have that balance, that grace, that breath.
How do you recommend that people, I'll give you an example. I'm going to be doing a show on Martha Norwalk's Animal World about bus drivers. And one of the things that I want to get out of that show is a way for bus drivers to deal more effectively with stress, because they've got a lot of stress that they deal with every day, as we all do. But this is stress imposed from the outside that you might not know is coming, and then all of a sudden it's there. And how do you? And I may use you as an example, and may even drag you onto the show. But how do you effectively deal with stress to keep your stress level down? Because I've had three bus drivers that I know well have died of heart attacks in the last 3 months, and it has to do with the stress of the job and everything. How do you? And this is for everybody who deals, and we all deal with stress, but
yes.
But how do you handle it? How do you work through it so that do you get your little Zen garden out and start going with your little Zen garden thing, or what do you do?
And I can use the example of working in the elementary school system, where I was in a classroom where we had 3 or 4 kindergartners who had the opinion that they could do whatever they wanted. So if they wanted to draw on walls, if they wanted to run up and down the hallway, if they wanted to, that there's those times where we just got to say, I'm going to stop and breathe. Now, you can be driving and you can just say, I'm breathing. It's just making a conscious decision. Another thing that I do is, like, when I know, because I'm picturing being a bus driver right now, that I'm seeing somebody come on and I know that person and their energy. And I used to do this because I used to cut hair too. So I used to work in I used to do lunchroom duty. So there'd be 100 and some odd 5th and 6th graders, 4th, 5th, and 6th graders in the classroom or in the lunchroom. And I was the only adult basically taking care of them. So with that I've had different ideas of when things have happened. No, I've not been a bus driver in this lifetime, but I can say that I've ridden the bus plenty of time in a major city. I've actually had problems with somebody bugging me on the bus several times. So I know how those scenarios can happen. I've seen bad things happen on the bus. And so I'm going there with this knowledge that when you see someone coming on to the bus, you put up a boundary. And this is where I use this mantra: what's yours is yours, what's mine is mine. What surrounds me is a thick, heavy bubble of love, color, whatever you want, angel hugs, higher power love, whatever you can do around you. Okay. So then you know that whatever's coming with them is bouncing off of you. Now, when I used to shampoo people and I knew that they had a bad day, I would put up a mirror, but it was a mirror that reflect whatever they were shampooing. Because, I'm shampooing like this. So they're right here within a short distance, because I got short arms, that, I would put up a mirror, and whatever they were sending out was reverberated back love. So it's almost like breath in, breath out, but I didn't breathe in. So it's motion towards, motion away, motion towards, motion away. But you see, it doesn't come to me, right?
Right.
And so with that you just kind of get that image of just saying, and let it walk by. Or like when I'm sitting in a auditorium where I have somebody sitting next to me, I kind of ask their energy, their aura, to kind of cuddly hug them. And then I ask mine, because if it's bugging me, I might be bugging them. I ask mine to nicely cuddle around me. And I've done that sitting on the bus when somebody was like, energy. I would kind of go, you,
Oh, yeah.
and so with that, but then when that person leaves, we got to remember to let him go. And a lot of people don't let him go. Let them go, let it go, let whatever that is go. And so that's when you see that person walk off, you go, and you send them on their way with love.
Nope, you're right. Because oftentimes what happens when you're on a bus, and you're on a bus for 8, 9, 10 hours, and people come, people go, and occasionally there'll be the type of person that, for whatever reason, your energy doesn't mess with theirs, and there's a confrontation, or there's an argument or whatever. Then they get off. We tend to hold that.
Yes.
And then that affects the rest of your day, and it only gets worse. I've been driving a bus, and I've been in a bad mood, and I can tell that my bad moodness and the energy around that was affecting the energy of the entire bus.
Yes.
So when I changed that from being negative to being positive, it also has the exact same change in reverse.
Yes.
So it can be a much better idea and a much better thing.
And I'm not going to say that if somebody's having a bad day and you're going, hi, how are you? Like for me at school, I had to learn not to say good morning. Not every student had a good morning.
That's true.
So I had to say morning. Glad you're here.
That is a much better, because especially in your world with kids, that they're at that age, they are not in control of much. And
no. And a lot of homes are, lovingly said, dysfunctional. Yes. Well, I don't want to call a house any. There's really no house that is functional. So, but there's different levels of dysfunction, and some of them are pretty hellish. I'm just going to say.
My former wife did what you do, and she worked at an elementary school, which was 3 blocks away from the Kent Justice Center. And so because that elementary school was so close to the Justice Center, there were lots and lots of apartments of people whose half of them were in the Justice Center, and they had moved there so they could be a little bit closer. But the dysfunctionality of those poor children was terrible. It was terrible. Yes. So I'm really glad that there are people like you who can have a positive outlook and can help these kids realize that not every adult is an idiot. Just so.
No. And that's one thing that my wish is, and that's one reason why I stay in the school system, is because there's these times where I'm just called to be my light. And I am there to be one of the warriors for the greater good. Now, one thing that I want to add to this is that if we can remember, like, I'm going to go back to the bus, because the bus is a perfect example of a day. How many times do we walk through the day, and different interactions that we have is kind of like people getting on and off the bus of our life. Okay, so we're going to take the metaphor of a bus, and our life is the bus. We gotta get up in the morning, so there's the morning people on the bus. Our our loved ones, our family, and then we go to work, and then the kids get off. But then it just depends on what our day is like. But at the end of the shift, kind of like for me, sometimes when I'm done with school, I sit in there. And I do some cleansing techniques. So that could be ringing a bell, And I'm just going to do this real quick because it's right. There's one right here.
I was going to ask you if you had a bell that you could mess with. That would be great. Yeah.
So what I do is and sorry if this tone bothers people, I just ring it around and I ring it and I remember my back because a lot of us carry things on our back. And I kind of just ring it just to change the energy. If we don't have a bell, we'll clap. And that changes the energy. And sometimes when I'm in the bathroom and I know the bathroom's all by myself, halfway through and I'm in there by myself, if it's a public bathroom and I know I'm there by myself, I'll do that real quick, especially if I've been around sticky energy, because I don't want to, I'm free. I'm changing my words because I don't want, doesn't help. I am free from carrying other people's with me.
Other people's what?
Exactly.
You mean other people's less than desirable attitudes and traits?
Exactly.
or to put it in short terms, other people's shit.
So with that, and Nathan from our radio station doesn't have our buzzer, so he can't buzz us. So with that, but it's our responsibility to decide, are we going to take that on? Because their stuff is their stuff. And right now, we're in a dilemma where a lot of us are stuck in our houses with many of our loved ones, and we really cannot get away.
And sometimes they're a little bit less than loved ones when you can't get away from, some folks, which, and I get it. It's a problem. If you're stuck in the house all the time and you're both trying to work from home and it's tough.
And then have the kids, going to school, and it's a whirlwind. But we got, please remember remember thyself, that it's healthy to say, I need a minute. I need a minute. And I know for me, in the craziness of taking care of my mom with young ones, husband having, my life, and I was on the hamster wheel getting flung around. I'll be honest, I had less tools then, but there was times where I just would go outside and just breathe. Now, I didn't smoke. I didn't do any of that. So I didn't have that as an excuse to go out and breathe. And I know a lot of people have an addiction like that to have the reason to go outside to get sanity. Well, many times we don't need those addictions to say, I need to go outside to get sanity. And especially when we're in the middle of a conflict, it's okay to say, we're going down the slippery slope and I don't want to go there with you. I don't want to say something that I'm not going to be able to take back. So can I just take a minute to get my breath?
See, and the other thing about you're very expressive. You're very expressive with your eyes and with your facial expressions. And
yes, I don't lie.
I can just see the time when you have had enough. I have had enough of this, and you don't even have to say anything, and then I would look at you, and if I were your significant other, I would look at you and say, oh, I'm going outside. Love you, see ya.
Yeah, I can say that I'm living with a man that my significant other, that he learned early I'm not a fighter. I'm not a screamer. I'm not a yeller. I'm not a thrower. I'm not reactive that way. And so actually I had to learn boundaries because I got walked on a lot of times because I didn't have a voice. And so now I'm learning a different type of voice because I'm still not a screamer or yeller, but my energy has a voice just as well as my voice does. So I've learned how to have different kinds of energy and boundaries. And so it's helped me because even the people that I work with know when I'm stirring very deeply. And there's not been very many times I've gotten angry and they kind of go, oh, Oh, yeah, I can see why she's angry. And usually I only get angry when it is about a common sense, kind of like kids out in the rain needing to get undercover, or, we need to have child safety, or, that was not my intent. Don't tell me it was my intention to do wrong. It's those morals and values, the higher, greater good that I fight with.
Well, but those are the sorts of things that you have to take pride in, that you are who you are. And when somebody questions your intentions or questions your validity or those things, it is hard to rectify those things. And it's especially since, like talking about being a bus driver versus working in an elementary school with a bunch of teachers and stuff, some of which you might like, some of which you might not like, some of which you understand, some of which you don't understand you, and stuff like that. And you have to go back there day to day to day to day to day and deal with the same folks every day. As a bus driver, people come and go and you don't have to deal with that. You do much more short term. But if you have a run-in with somebody in September and they're going to be there until June, you're gonna have to figure out how to deal with that, huh?
Yes, and that's the scenario that's going on. Is that we always have someone in our lives.
Yes.
That, are you getting a call or something?
Theoretically.
We always have somebody in our lives that's going to turn us upside down.
Nope.
Just like I have that, there's many people in my lives that I have good boundaries with, but there for a long time, I had my mother of heart because my mother had passed. My mother of heart is a woman who came into my life for about 20 years after my mom passed. And so she kind of took on the role of mother for me. She was my elder. And my husband, that I thought I had my footing. I thought I had good boundaries. And then they would do something and my feet would fall out from underneath me. And I go, crap. They undermined me again. And I'm walking into their traps.
Those are always fun traps to walk into.
They always are fun traps. And then if they were sliding down the slippery slope of oh's me's, well, they took me right with them. And I got better, though. I got better. And there's been times where I said to my mother of heart and to my husband, I got to stop this conversation now. I just got to. And I'm sorry. I love you. I'm not going to hang up on you, but I have to stop this exact. Well, I don't mind talking about something else with you, but this exact conversation, I'm going to have to stop right now because I'm not going to go down this slippery slope with you. I didn't say that, but I just said I need to stop. This is not going where I want to go with this. And I got better at that because I practiced, because I would notice after the phone call or the talk, oh, shoot, went down it. And then I noticed during the phone call. And then I noticed at the beginning of the conversation. And then I noticed, oh, wait a minute, I see it coming now.
So how does that exactly work? Because I've always wanted to do that, but I never have had the intestinal fortitude to be able to say, I'm going to hang up now because this conversation isn't going well at all. And how did that play out? Because after you would hang out or hang up, and then the person.
See, I wouldn't hang up though, because to me that was disheartening. I wouldn't want to be hung up after I was having an emotion and I didn't realize that I was affecting someone else.
So were you able to get them to stop talking about what it was that they were animated about and go on to something else?
I would repeat it. I'm sorry. We're still there. I got to stop.
That'd make me so mad.
I'm so mad.
And like I said, I'm not one that gets angry very often. So I mean, it's like, and I had to learn to get angry, but I got better at it. And I would say it in a tone that was like, we need to stop this now. It's not going where this is not, let's talk about something else. And I would give that opportunity a chance to change.
Now, at what point would you go back to that conversation? Because if you stop that conversation and say we can talk about something else, but that conversation wasn't done, so at one point you would still need to go back and do that conversation, wouldn't you?
Well, it depends, because sometimes that conversation was just an emotion that was spewing out over onto me.
Or perhaps alcohol or something along those lines.
Or, sometimes somebody was just feeling really, crappy about something, and they were just spewing, and they decided to make it about me or make it about them or make it about something that I just didn't want to hear. I'm not one that wants to hear somebody go, well, this person, and this person, I don't mind saying, this person really did something that bugged me and it really hurt. But when they're starting to go on the, I just kind of got to say that I'm willing to hear that you're frustrated. I'm willing to hear that you're sad, but I don't want to hear there's a difference between politics and emotion. So let's talk about the emotion. Right now, I'm very hurt about this conversation we had, So a lot of times I didn't have to go back to that conversation because it was about emotion. And then sometimes I just would say, after we start talking about something else, that conversation would come around again. But since that person wasn't in the spinning of it, they were able to manage it differently.
Okay. I get it, I think.
And so there's just those moments where, doing our better good of saying that. And if you notice, this whole conversation about is who's been on our bus through our day and who do we keep carrying, because those kinds of conversations, those kinds of moments, they undermine us. Yes, they may make the other person feel better, but we feel crappy. So let's just talk about how you're sad and disappointed, more about making me feel like I'm the ugly one in emotions and whatever. And so that's where we have to kind of put up those boundaries. And then when we're done, shake it off. A dog, when they're done with a stressful moment, they shake. There's something realistic about that. And then they go do something else. It's like do something to get rid of what we carry. Because other people's stuff is not our stuff.
But we take it as our stuff because
we take it as our stuff.
Because we all want more stuff.
I got enough stuff. And that's the thing is that, taking that breath when we come out of a situation before we go into another conversation, clapping our hands, ringing our bells. Like the other day, there was something that happened and I drummed. I have a drum that I have, Native American drum. And I drum that around sometimes just to shake up the energy. That's where smudging helps. That's where, there's just different things, or just saying, like there's these times where I act like there's a rainbow that comes down from the greater good of love around me and through me. And then all of a sudden, it's almost like sneezing when you plug your nose and you sneeze and your ears go.
I hate that.
Well, I do that though. I almost act like it comes down and then I go, poof, and I just kind of have that whole energy go poof, out of me. So there's these different ways. Showering at the end of the day, just saying, I'm cleansed from everything and let it go down the drain and let Mother Earth take care of it for me. Finding those releases so that we don't keep taking on what other people are living. A lot of us are carrying Mother Earth right now. Mother Earth she's been around here a whole lot longer than we have. A lot of us are carrying the people of politics, and we need to let politics take care of itself. Yes, I can care. I voted. I made choices. I had prayer. I made wishes. I see the greater good. I tried it and I asked for the greater good. May the greater good happen. And then I asked for healing on this. I use that mantra a lot. I'm asking for healing on this. A lot of us are carrying the Black Lives Matter process. you know, carry love for it, carry shifting of it, asking for healing of it is different than saying, oh, it's hurting me, it's hurting me. Well, that's when our bodies hurt. And a lot of women who have breast cancer or uterus cancer, we have to really look at how much we carry other people's stuff because we're woman. Man ends up having a lot of heart attacks or prostate problems because they don't know how to be man in a good way to not take on other people's stuff. And when something goes against our values and our morals, and we can't see why is that person making those choices, and it really bugs us, we have to check in. Okay, am I responsible for that person making those choices, even though it bugs me?
Nope, you're not. And you can't hold it, because oftentimes when something bugs us about somebody else, it bothers us a lot more than it bothers them. They don't particularly care.
Nope.
And so if they don't care and you care, you're just going to drive yourself absolutely crazy, and it's not healthy. You're not going to be healthy.
And like what we tell kids a lot of times, it's like, just say, oh well. And if we notice when we say that and we just kind of do the motion, oh well, what happens to us? It kind of goes, naturally. You know, it doesn't mean that we have to stop caring. It doesn't mean that we have to stop being passionate about something. But what it is decide, is it your passion or if it's somebody else's passion? If it's your worry or is it for somebody else's worry? And really decide what is ours. And 1111 is about us and the community. 1 is about I, the healthy I. And the 11 is about how can our team, our community work with us.
Because we're all one.
We're all one. And I have learned that, and this is what I learned as my husband became more healthy, that in order to have a strong roof for our home, he had to be a strong pedestal. I had to be a strong pedestal. If I was leaning over and caring more about him, what was happening to our roof?
It was falling down.
It was falling down. So I had to be a strong pedestal myself. When I'm going in and doing my other work in the school, if I'm caring more about others and not myself, what's going to happen about the balance? Because if I'm holding up a strong roof, that means I'm caring about others, because I'm caring. I'm caring about others. I do care about being in the grocery store and moving out of my way if somebody needs to get the lettuce that I'm in front of.
No, it's my lettuce.
I'm getting lettuce too. I'll say, I'll be done in a minute. And I get my lettuce quickly and I move on. It's about caring about, but I had to care about me at the same time about others. The pedestals carrying the strong roof.
Exactly. Let's get back to where we started with this, which is Life Clarifications with Natasha, whatever your name is, Natasha.
I love you.
and we are this is a show that we are doing, and we're doing it every Wednesday at 4:00 Pacific, and it's live, so you can call in and talk to Natasha. And when they call in live, they can talk about virtually anything. If they've got someone who's passed, you can talk to them about that. They've got a life, they've got a fork in the road and they're not quite sure how to handle it, you can talk to them about that. If they've got a personal issue that you want to share with us and the entire world, you can do that too. So you can talk to Natasha, and if they want to get a hold of you, my friend, how do they do that?
You can reach me at my website, which is angelicclarifications.com. Make sure there's an S at the end. and angelic, and clarifications has 2 C's. So angelicclarifications.com or Natasha at angelicclarifications.com is my email. So it's easy to get a hold of me. And right now, because of what we're going through, I do have a small special going on with my sessions. I'm not going to quote that, but I just want you to know that I'm here to help us walk through how can we do this better? How can we negotiate this better? How can we, and it's not perfect. You notice I didn't use the word perfect. It's about doing this better, because when we can do it better and take care of us, then we can walk forward easier in our lives and our bodies. The temple of our bodies, we only have this one body to walk through this lifetime with once. Yes, we can get replacement parts, knees, elbows.
I have those.
We can get those replacement parts. But at the same time, if we notice that our knees ache sometimes because we're having a hard time walking forward, and knees are about walking forward. Knees are about stability in that flexibility of moving forward. Our hips are about supporting us as a structure of us. The pivoting. Our hips are about pivoting, moving forward, having perspectives. Our backs are about, how much are we carrying other people on our shoulders? How much are we carrying people in our lower back? Our heart aches because some of us are working with our heart chakra and we don't know how to balance the love for others and the love for ourselves, because we're loving others more than we're loving ourselves. We get throat aches because either we're speaking too much or we're not speaking enough. We get nasal problems or ear problems because we're not hearing maybe the better that we can. That we're not having that grace of, I understand what you're saying. Do you understand what I'm saying? There's that ears. We get headaches because we're closed off with our upper chakras because we're not willing to listen to what the universe is trying to tell us. Our third eye is all clogged up, so sometimes we have eye problems or headaches in this area because our third eye is so clogged up that we're not seeing the visions of what the universe is trying to show us. There's many, toes are about balance. Are we balancing our lives well? There's things about our bodies that are trying to tell us, like the pancreas is about processing emotions. The liver is about letting things flush through us. There's many times when I'm going through a stressful moment or a stressful day, and the next time I go to the bathroom, I flush that out. I allow that to flush, but I also drink a lot of water to let it flush.
That's more information than I really needed.
Those are those things.
I get it. Yeah, you're right.
Those are those things that people don't understand. Like you're saying, the bus drivers carry it. Well, these are ways to release it. Showers, bathrooms, just ringing bells, clapping, breathing, just saying yours is yours, mine is mine, what stands between me and you. Or putting like I want to call it a mirror. What is reflecting in can be reflected back love. And when we're doing that, remember 360, our backsides. Sometimes we just do boundaries in the front. We got to remember boundaries in the back. On a bus, who's in the back of us?
People.
So what are we carrying? Our backpacks. So how many backpacks, emotional backpacks, are we carrying for others? We got to take off those backpacks and give them back to the people. There's those metaphorical things that we can do to image what we need to do to help us do that. And I can tell you that Archangel Michael, the being that he is, the love that he is, he says all the time, my dears, give me your baggage and I'll take it from you. So I kind of have this like box. I call it a Michael box. And it's open, and I throw everything in, all the crumb and stuff that I wanted to do, all the expectations I had and I didn't get them, all those different things that I wanted and I didn't get. I put them in the box, close up the box, hand them over to Michael. And then what happens? He gives me back. And he opens it up and says, this is what it's transformed to. Just like for me, I didn't get the table I truly wanted today, but I got the table I needed and I got what I should have. And so now I'm going to have to transform it. And I just saw when I did that, because I put the table scenario that I was in, I put that in the box and he gave it back to me and he showed me what it could be. So with that, let the angels, let the beings, like Archangel Michael, it would choose to stand behind any bus driver to protect them and put out his sword saying, nope, nope. And those the windshields on those buses, they're picking up everything that is driving by too. So they got to remember to put a shield on their windshields.
It's true. That's true.
Energetic shields. Because you're seeing so much in cars going by you. You're seeing people yelling at each other. You're seeing smiling people. You know, you're seeing all these different things, but it's them driving by, not yours.
You get to see a form of life that you haven't ever seen before.
Mm-hmm.
And most people don't. It really is a remarkable journey to do that job and to do it well and to understand it. So but it's fun. At least it used to be.
And I know that a lot of bus drivers, they go through a harder part and an easier part, and then they go back down into a harder part.
Oh yeah, that happens all the time. So
the breath in and the breath out.
Is there anything, since our time has expired? Yeah,
it has expired. I just want everybody to know that no matter who you are, what you're doing, that this is a learning process. So please be observant of yourself and just understand what is yours and what isn't yours. I'm free from carrying other people. And so just know that this is a greater time for us to make those choices, because many of us who are stuck in homes with loved ones, navigating through things, if once we learn those boundaries, usually things kind of shift a little bit, and they just become more graceful with our scenarios. And so with that, just know that you're loved. And it doesn't matter what you believe in, that you do have angels, you do have love beings, guides, ascended masters that are going to help you through a process of life. And when you can walk that and know that, it's amazing how much you don't feel alone. So when a bird flies towards you, Google what it means. If an animal walks in front of you, even your own cat, see what cat means. You know, see what these animals in this universe is trying to show you so that you can understand what's going on. Kind of like for me, I saw a beetle, and he was a weird looking beetle, but he had a great armor ship on him, with big antennas. So he was seeing what was out there. At the same time, he was very well protected. And he was kind of a reddish color. And I've seen these before, but I know that they're not very common. And red is about, that fiery, passionate. It's also about new beginnings. So red is that first color. It's that passion, that fire to get going. That it was like, boundaries, check out there to see what's going on. And he was standing on a wall. So it's like, start moving forward, up. But yet having my boundaries.
Got it. By the way, that's Natasha Venter over there, and she's a wonderful soul. And I hope that you will take the time to go to Angelic Clarifications with an S, and drop her a line and talk to her. Other than that, you can be here on Wednesdays at 4:00 Pacific, and you can have the opportunity to talk to her and to really engage with her what's going on with you. She really is. She's tired of talking to me anyway, so we need her to talk to you.
Never tired of talking to you, Kevin, but yet at the same time, it is nice because I know that if someone's sitting there stewing about a problem, I can guarantee that there's going to be people out there that have the exact same problem that you do. And if we can work through yours with grace of knowing that you are on a big picture here of YouTube, but yet that's where I understand confidentiality, that we would only go so far, that whatever is so said to help you can help someone else. There's no mistakes about getting that feeling to call in or make a comment.
Oh, exactly. Did we get any comments today?
Nope, we didn't, but that's okay.
That's perfectly fine.
I understand that this is a process, and I'm grateful for this process because it's all a gift.
Speaking of which, are you going to be on Martha's show?
Oh, I am. I think it's this Sunday that I am. I haven't emailed her yet. I was going to do that tonight when I had time. So yes, I am on usually the third Wednesdays on 1150 KKNW, and I will be there this Sunday from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Pacific time. And you can go to 1150kknw.com and go to listen live, and you can listen to what we talk about. And we usually talk about animal communication. And sometimes people call in with a personal problem.
And if you go to marthanorwalk.com, you can also listen live, but you can do it anywhere in the world. So because it streams live on the internet. So that way you can call in from just about any darn place you like and talk to Natasha, which would be great fun for you.
Yeah.
So,
and usually I'm on her show the third Sunday of each month.
Right. Anything else you'd like to add, my dear?
Just remember, everyone is loved.
Even
no
if
matter
you don't
who
think you are.
Yes.
So, absolutely. So with that, my name is Kevin McDonald. Go to My Independence Report and you'll find out lots of stuff that's there too. So we have fun with it. And I hope that you'll take care of yourself and be kind to one another because, as I say in a minute. Hey, and thanks for listening to this episode all the way to the end. Hey, pretty cool. Hey, don't forget to follow us so you can receive regular updates and new posts. And remember, take care of each other because each other is all we've got. See you next time on My Independence Report.